Yeah, you can. Okay, we are live. Good morning, everyone. I hope I am audible. I think I am visible. Just so I am sure that we can all see and hear me. Please, if you're live with us, I'll be happy to see your comments on the comment section. Just say something so I know you can see and you can hear me so we can move forward with our presentation today. I can introduce myself and we go on from there. Looking forward to seeing your comments. I guess in the meantime, I can start speaking. Still waiting for a comment to pop up. Good morning, everyone. Okay, good morning. My name is Victor AJ, and you are with us here virtually at the Office for Nigerian Digital Innovation, a subsidiary of NITA. Myself, I'm a program officer and I am the lead program officer for iHATCH. And I also function as the head of the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Desk here at ONDI. Thank you very much, Francis. Thank you, Chinedu. I am glad I am getting confirmation that I am audible. Thank you very much. So without further ado, I hope you've been able to see what is displayed on the screen. The agenda will be following for today's session. Agbo Farouk, I'm seeing that you can't hear me. Maybe you would have to check, your devices because I've gotten comments from others that I am audible and visible. So please check on your side. Okay, so I've introduced myself, right? And the next thing I can do is to introduce our national coordinator, Victoria Fabumi. She's here live with us, and we would be taking this session together. I believe, as you can read on the screen, the objective of this info session is to provide prospective applicants with clear guidance on the iHATCH incubation program for cohort 5, including structure, benefits, eligibility, and the application process, of course. So with that being said, I would invite our national coordinator, Victoria Fabumi, to come on and speak to us, give some opening remarks, and then she can also go on to talk to us about ONDI, its startup mandate, go on to introduce the iHATCH incubation program, and there on and there on. So NC, please, if you're ready, we're happy to have you on stage to speak.
Thank you, Victor. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone can hear us. Thank you for joining the iHATCH Hub Managers Info session. For us, it's a pleasure to engage with our hub managers, partners, innovation intermediaries, ecosystem support organization and actors, and really share the agency's vision about the iHATCH program. The iHATCH program is a flagship collaboration between the National Information Technology Development Agency and JICA through the Office for Nigerian Digital Innovation. Today, we want to share the agency's mandate and vision around developing our innovation ecosystem, particularly with advancing innovation, leveraging Nigeria's entrepreneurial landscape. We're honored to have stakeholders from across the different ecosystems, regional ecosystems, join this session with a bid to providing guidance on what the iHATCH program is and how it is positioned to developing a sustainable innovation system across our nation. For us as NITA, our goal is to strengthen our hub managers who who are uniquely positioned at the intersection of policy and practice, and help them with the right resources, access, and support to be able to deliver tangible outcomes in alignment with our national priorities, specifically around leveraging technology and innovation. And so this session is actually designed to provide insight, um, additional information on how the program is structured and how participants within the ecosystem can benefit from this program for their state, but also for their region. Um, in this session, we will outline program objectives, we'll clarify what some of the operational protocols will be in terms of how we are supporting the startups, how we are supporting the hub managers, and how this can be beneficial to our innovation ecosystem across board. We see ourselves as partners in developing our innovation ecosystem. And so we're happy to share more information on how this program does that and take your feedback and support to continue to strengthen our innovation ecosystem. Thank you for joining Hub Managers Innovation information session, and we look forward to sharing and shedding more light on how the program will roll out in a few weeks. Thank you, Victor.
Okay, thank you so very much, NC. We're glad to hear from you. I feel like I'm not alone. I feel like I have my, giants behind me. Being able to face who knows the enormous crowd that is behind the camera right now as I'm looking at you all. So thank you so much, NC. Moving on to the next item on our agenda, which would be to, you know, go in depth, speak about ONDI, its startup support mandate, an overview of ONDI, the role in strengthening innovation in Nigeria's startup ecosystem and beyond. Um, NC, I would please call you back up to speak on that. How ONDI is supporting Nigeria's digital innovation ecosystem across the country, and of course, introduce us to what iHATCH is all about and what to expect in iHATCH as well. So, please, if we could have you back on stage.
Fantastic. Thank you, Victor. Um, so essentially, what's ONDI's mandate? ONDI is an SPV of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITA, and it was set up to coordinate across the intersection of policy, strengthening our regulatory compliance, and run programmatic interventions aimed at deepening or strengthening our innovation ecosystem with the sole aim of leveraging technology and innovation to increase job and economic growth. ONDI is a merger of two former units, OIIE and ONC, which historically used to sit at the intersection of innovation policy, as I mentioned earlier, regulatory coordination, particularly with respect to local content and indigenous technology, ecosystem development, and support for the innovation ecosystem as a whole. The way I explain our work today is we champion digital innovation adoption in public and private sector, leveraging the innovation ecosystem, which some will sometimes refer to as the startup ecosystem. That's our preferred mechanism for engagement. And our work is to promote, grow, and support the Nigerian digital innovation ecosystem by championing and advancing indigenous content and innovation-driven enterprises. In recent times, we have supported the implementation of the Nigerian Startup Act amidst other programs, operationalizing programs in alignment with the Act. iHATCH is one of those programs that is focused on supporting and developing capacity within our innovation ecosystem, because that's one of the core pillars. But beyond the iHatch program, ONDI is focused on creating an innovation pipeline that supports research, that supports market access, that supports local content compliance solution, that supports partnership at scale for the innovation ecosystem. Today, through ONDI, we are animating the different areas of the ecosystem, or different segments of the ecosystem, that helps us achieve national priorities at scale. In coming weeks, we'll be rolling out a few of our programs. If you check our website, ondi.nida.gov.ng, you'll find programs that we've run historically, whether it's from supporting the GITEX Roadshow that launched in Nigeria, or supporting startups with market access into new countries within our region and beyond, providing incubation and acceleration support or proof of concept support, even to innovation discovery through our national innovation challenges. There are many activities or programs aimed at deepening the work that NITA is doing, leveraging the innovation ecosystem and startups in general. So again, we're happy to invite you to follow us on our social media handles to learn more about the programs that we run. Check out our programs on our website, ondi.nida.gov.ng. If you are a startup or a hub manager, or you are an actor within the innovation ecosystem, we welcome you to register on the startup portal at startup.gov.ng as well. Through these different channels, you'll find and you'll get information on the programs that the agency is running through ONDI, with the objective of developing and enriching our entrepreneurial ecosystem. Again, that's about ONDI in summary. We'll go on to talk about the iHatch incubation program. So for the program, I'll give you a bit of a background. I mentioned it earlier. iHatch program is a collaborative program developed by the Japanese International Cooperation Agency and NITA. The whole idea of the program is to provide support to startups at scale. It's a flagship program for the agency, and we are in the 5th cohort. The program started about 4 years ago, and so we've gone through cohort 1 to cohort 4. To date, what we have achieved through the program is 216 startups supported, 37 hub managers trained, 500 plus direct jobs created, and it's a nationwide reach. It's been a journey over the last 4 cohorts, starting off with a pilot a few years ago, just in Abuja. And the goal was to find or create a strong pipeline for innovation to thrive. How do we unearth founders who have smart ideas, who are building innovation-driven solutions within our country? And so from a pilot of 1 state to 6 states across the region to becoming a national program. Through the iHatch program, what we are doing is supporting startups to develop MVP. So it's, as the name connotes, is iHatch, Idea Hatch. It's supposed to be a pre-incubation and discovery tool, supporting founders who are developing their ideas or are very early stage. And so what we help them do is optimize business models, help them with taking those solutions to MVP, help them with the proper registrations or regulatory guidance and compliance, and also start to prime them to position them to engage investors, as the case may be. In general, what we're looking to achieve is develop a robust entrepreneurial ecosystem, ensure that our young people are empowered, and ensure that economic diversification is happening in alignment with our presidential priorities. Next slide, please. So why does this matter? If you have been in our ecosystem for a while, you will find that over the years, our ecosystem has continued to grow. In fact, depending on the data that you look at, the Nigerian technology ecosystem or innovation ecosystem ranks top three, depending on data that you're looking at. And this is because we have startups who have build solutions that are relevant not just to the Nigerian innovation ecosystem, but also relevant across the continent. From a policy perspective, the Nigerian Startup Act is one of the fastest legislation that has come to bear through our own across the country, but our environment as well. So if we look at our ecosystem, we've been we've been primed to deliver certain outcomes that have not just national impact, but also impact across the continent. Regardless of all the buckets of activities or innovation that is happening, there's still challenges that exist. With infrastructure, the challenges that exist with prioritizing or alignment of support to startups. There are challenges that exist with access to knowledge, mentorship. There are challenges that exist with investment. Through this program, our goal is to create support that ameliorates some of these challenges, that bridge the gap that exists by one, strengthening our hubs, to supporting these hubs to strengthen their ecosystem building, and then in turn providing an enabling environment for our startups to thrive. The goal of the program is to provide hand holding on the different segments across board that helps us at the end of the day create an enabling environment for innovation to thrive. Cohort 4 was the first time that we had a national scale pilot. And in Cohort 4, what we achieved was 160 startups were trained. We had 37 hub managers also supported. And what we achieved through that program was startups became legally prepared, regulatorily aware of what was required to build their business. A lot of our startups from the cohort developed their MVP, which is products that consumers can start to use and engage from ideation stage. And then they started to have conversation that positioned them to access grants and also investment, very early ticket from angel investors. Next slide, please. So what are we trying to achieve with iHATCH? It gone from a very early in cohort 1 supporting only startups and being in one state to being in 6 states and then being a national program. And then by virtue of that scale, under the leadership of our DG, Malam Kashifu Inu Abdullahi, we've been able to develop a dual track program. And what do I mean by dual track program? Because the program is aimed at strengthening our innovation ecosystem as a whole, the goal is to first strengthen innovation intermediaries, which are ESOs and ISOs, innovation support organizations and entrepreneur support organizations, providing them with the necessary resources, tools, knowledge, and in some cases, infrastructure to be able to support their own environment, whether it's with respect to engaging government at a state level or regional level, or whether it's with respect to developing, supporting startups who are building innovative solutions, or even start to think about their region from a comparative advantage position, what their region is designed to support, and how they can leverage the competitiveness of their region in how they create or support innovation. Uh, we've gone in this new model. Hub managers come through the program, they are upskilled, and then in turn they provide support to startups. All hub managers within the context of this model um, go on to support at least 5 hub startups within their state and help these very early stage startups develop their MVPs and also validate their business models. Next slide, please. And so the goal for us is to, in this cohort, in the previous cohort, because it was a pilot, we had a lot of learnings. We got a lot of feedback from the hub managers. I'd like to use this opportunity to thank the hub managers from the cohort 4 who worked with us, even as it was a learning process for them. It was also a learning process for us in terms of enriching the quality of the support that we gave, and helping us to better position the program for more impact. And so through this program, we've been able to highlight focus sectors that the program can add impact to. Does that mean that other people outside of this sector, other startups outside of these sectors cannot be part of the program? No, but it just means that we have optimized the program to support startups because the bulk of the startups come under this, the highlighted vertical areas: fintech, agri-tech, health tech, ed tech, logistics, tech or retail, and startups who are building GovTech. And so we've optimized for this in this cohort, even though the program continues to remain sector agnostic. What does that mean? If you decide that you're not building within this vertical, but it is a really innovative solution that can support or is supporting local challenges or even regional challenges and has the capacity to scale, you can be part of a program. And so within the iHATCH program, we're going to be supporting 185 startups, again, 5 per state. We're going to be supporting 37 hub managers, which is 36 states and the FCT. And the program is going to be broken down into 2 streams. First, the hub managers, and then the startups. A 5-month period for hub managers, and then the startups the process goes through a 5-month period for startups themselves. That's the design of the program. So I'll allow my colleague to talk about who should apply, evaluation criteria, selection stages, while we're talking about the structure of the program. And then I'll come back and talk about the program phase timeline, what mentorship you should be expecting from this new cohort. Victor, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. I think we have quite some context about iHatch, about ONDI, about NITA, what we do at this point. That's for those of us who are maybe hearing of ONDI, hearing of iHatch for the first time. So moving on, I will be, giving a bit of an overview as to who we expect to apply for the HOPS upskilling program. We are expecting applications from ESOs, innovation hubs. By ESO, I mean enterprise supporting organizations. Um, People who have been active in their state, active in their region, supporting startups in different capacity. Yes, they do engage in a diverse, array of activities, but a lot of times when you hear of events like maybe Enugu Tech Fest or other events across the country that converge ecosystem players in the digital economy, in the innovation ecosystem, you know that it is innovation hubs, active hub managers in such locations that facilitate, play a major role in bringing together the community. These the people we're expecting to apply for the iHATCH upskilling program are people who are committed to developing entrepreneurial communities, especially around them. We prefer that these hubs, these innovation hubs, have physical spaces, not only online offices, physical spaces, physical infrastructure, and at least have some track record of community engagement, right? If I'm to be more specific as to what the eligibility criteria is or are in terms of numbers right now, I would say we expect that you should have at least operated for, a minimum of maybe 1 year, with a demonstrated track record. We expect that you should be able to demonstrate commitment to startup ecosystem development, measured by startup initiatives supported. We expect that as an individual, the hub manager should have some experience supporting startup because yes, we can call you a hub manager as the owner of a hub or just someone who the owner put in charge to manage the hub. The hub is a separate entity, the individual is a separate entity. So we do expect that the hub has been operating for a year, and then we expect that the individual as a hub manager is not just someone that was employed a week ago. You do have some experience supporting startup, preferably maybe up to 2 years, but at least you've been, supporting startups in the past. I've already mentioned that the hub should have a physical space, physical infrastructure available for startup incubation activities. You should be able to prove that you're committed to, program reporting requirements and, communication protocols, because what we'll be doing is going to involve you as an individual interacting with a lot of stakeholders, interacting with colleagues. So we expect that you should have time to commit to the program. We expect that you are ready to participate and not just sign up and we're looking for you. Yeah, so we're expecting that you demonstrate willingness to participate, in all the activities across the program. So I hope I've been able to give enough context on who should apply, the evaluation criteria, and then I think I can talk on the selection stages at this point. As you know, the call for application is out. Okay, let me not assume everyone here knows. Call for application is out actually. You should be able to see information on that. You should be able to see on our social media, on our website. If you go through, you would be able to see it. I just shifted the slide to um, where you could actually see the application link at the bottom left corner of the slide right now. That's the application link. So call for applications has been out since last week. We've been getting some applications as well, and we're expecting your applications if you do fit into the criteria I have described. And the selection stages would be very straightforward. When you apply, there'll be a selection committee on the back end to review applications, shortlist, and every hub manager who is selected to be part of iHatch Cohort 5 would reach out to you. When we reach out to you, you have to, engage with our team that would be verifying some of the information you provided to us during the application process, like, perhaps visiting your physical space to ensure that you do have physical space to support the startups we'll be assigning to you. And then all if every criteria I had explained earlier is proven both in writing and physically we can see it, then most likely that hub manager would advance to become part of the 37. Now, the 37, as we've mentioned before, is across 36 states and then the FCT. So that's why we keep saying 37. So, of course, like in last cohorts, in cohort 4, we had some states that had really good, applications, multiple good applications from certain states. You would, if you applied in cohort 4 and you didn't get in, perhaps because you had some other stronger applications from your state, I really encourage you to apply once again in cohort 5, because the hub managers that participated in cohort 4 will be stepping aside to allow space for fresh hands to join cohort 5, fresh hubs to join cohort 5. I think that answers some of the questions that were even put up during the registration, some of the questions that were dropped. So, how to apply is straightforward. As you can see on the screen, the bottom left corner, you can see the application link there, ondi.nida.gov.ng stroke hash stroke iHatch. Just put that um, on your browser, and it will take you straight to the application page. But if you feel that that's a lot, you can go just find our social media handles, both NETA, both ONDI, locate any of our posts, where we posted this link. You can go to the caption and click on it. If it's a lot of work copying what you're seeing on the screen, but I expect that if you are ready to engage us, that shouldn't be too much for you to handle. um so the deadline for application is actually on the 16th of March, which is about 2 weeks away. And we can actually see that some hubs have already started their application, because when you enroll, we can see it from the back end. We can see that you've started filling your form. Facilities were provided on the application form for you to save your responses and then come back and continue your application as time goes on. So we expect that every hub manager that have started their application would finish and submit on or before the 16th of March 2026, so that you qualify to be for your application to be evaluated and possibly selected. Okay, so I think with that, I should have covered everything around what is needed, who should apply, evaluation criteria. Okay, I think I can hand over back to the NC now to perhaps speak a little on the timelines we are looking at as per execution of the training sessions, and all the other activities that will take place. And then after that, we can go into answering some of the questions that were dropped by members of the audience during the application, and then take a few live questions here, of course. Yeah. Over to you, NT.
Fantastic. Thank you, Victor. In terms of timelines, so the call for application, as Victor said, is open till the 16th of March, 2026. Please be kind to share within your networks if you know any hub manager who would benefit from the program. Please be kind enough to share. Once we go through the evaluation stages, selection stages, which typically takes about 2 to 3 weeks, hub managers will be onboarded on the program. They get some time to learn more about the program, interact with their peers, and then they're prepped on the different tools and platforms that we have that they need to engage with, and then they go into the program curriculum uh, in depth. So this, in terms of preparation stages, it will take about 2 to 3 weeks for the selection stage. Then we go into onboarding, and then we go into the sessions. As I mentioned earlier, it's a dual track program that has about 5 months preparing the hub managers, enabling them and providing them with the resources that they can use to support their ecosystem and startups within the ecosystem. So the goal is within the course of a about 3 month period, hub managers will go through a hybrid program, um, a 1 week residency, which allows them have in-person engagement with their peers and with all their facilitators, and then they go back to having hybrid session. The goal is to ensure that we're not taking hub managers away from their businesses or their core roles, but whilst they are learning, they're able to actively apply learnings. So over the next, once the body session is completed, over the next 3.5 months, hub managers will go through sessions aimed at providing them with learnings or improving their knowledge, sharing resources with them. They have capstone programs that they will work on together over that period. Once we have completed the core essentials in terms of classes, which is both in person for residency and hybrid, we now go into the startup engagement. We'll share more information on when the call for application for startups will be open. The goal is to do this in collaboration with the hub managers so that they get again, this we start to build relationship handholding, and we collaboratively um, develop what is required, or well, develop the curriculum on what is required to support um, to support the startup ecosystem. So essentially, that's how it's phased. Once we've done call for application, we go into selection, we go into onboarding, we start the hybrid process. Within the course of the hybrid engagement, there is a residency. So if you're a hub manager who is interested in learning about other ecosystems, this will be something that's interesting to you. And then we're going to support for startups within each of the states and your own ecosystem. So that's the timeline for this process. From a curriculum, mentorship, support perspective, you'll find more information on our website, ondi.nida.gov.ng. You'll find more information on our social media handles, whether it's on X or LinkedIn or Instagram. So if you're not currently following us, I'd appreciate that you just whip out your phone and search for ONDI Nigeria on Instagram or on X or on LinkedIn. Also, NITA Nigeria, you'll find programs. So anything that has to do with our program, you'll find it on the NITA handle, you find it on the ONDI handle. So you can get more information in terms of the timelines. But for mentorship, the goal is to have a very robust network of experts. One of the things that we've learned from our previous cohort is I'm working on this challenge, or I have this particular problem as a hub manager, and I've not been able to go past it. What we do is connect you with somebody who has gone through that challenge. So they're not speaking anecdotally about it, they're speaking from a place of experience, from a place of knowledge, and they're able to walk you through some of the challenges that you might be experiencing. From a support perspective, we also have created a robust support program, both for the hub managers and both for the startups to benefit from. So, as I said, please go to our website, go to our social media handles, and you will find more information with respect to the program and the support offerings that we have. Sorry, one more thing we didn't talk about, Victor. We for you to be part of the program, you have to be registered on the startup.gov.ng portal. We realize that We often don't speak about this portion enough, but because this program is developed leveraging or guided by the Nigerian Startup Act, for you to be able to benefit this capacity, it's capacity building, right? That's how we think about it, supporting the entrepreneurial ecosystem. Um, we've tied this to the outcomes of the Act, and we would like hub managers who are interested or who would want to apply to also spend some time. It doesn't take long. Verification takes about under a week. So if you started your application already, feel free to go to startup.gov.ng, um, apply on the portal for verification as a hub manager. You will get information once your verification comes through um, as well. So if you have any challenges, my colleagues and I and at ONDI will be happy to provide support to you. But that's one of the criterias required to be on the program, that you are registered or verified on the portal as an innovation support organization or ecosystem support organization. Uh, thank you. So over to you, Victor.
Okay, thank you very much, NT. Um, I think at this point we have almost answered all the questions that were dropped in the, submitted questions, before the event. But regardless, we would still go through some of those questions. For some of the questions that we feel we have answered, forgive us if you don't hear me call your name out and read out your question. It's because we believe we have answered your question during the presentation, and we have limited time, so we'd have to prioritize and respond to questions that we consider unique enough to require you know um, uh, customized attention. So that brings us to the next section, which is the question and answer section. So I'll be reading out some of the questions that we got from your submission. For those of you that registered, using the Luma link and submitted a set of questions, we're going to be taking some of your questions. And then for those of you that did not have access to submit those questions sooner, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box. Whether you are watching us from YouTube or LinkedIn, we should be able to see it from our end, and pick some of the questions and respond to them as best as we can. So our first question, which will be taken from the pre-submitted question, we will take the question from Wada Garab. The question says, does hub manager whose organization doesn't reach 1 year of working get selected? Yeah, I'm reading it exactly as you wrote it, so please don't judge what I'm saying. So he's basically asking if a hub will be selected if their organization's operational experience is not up to a year. And I think it's a really low hanging fruit. I think I can answer this one. Maybe when I get some tougher questions, I'll give it to my boss. But this one is a pretty straightforward thing. Like I mentioned, we select one hub from every state, right? Now, regardless of the fact that your hub may not get up to a year of operational experience, it is possible that even within those 6 months, 7 months, 10 months you've been working, you have garnered a lot of events. You've done a lot of work with your state government, with ecosystem partners, and actually executed some meaningful impact in the startup ecosystem, within your locality. So what I'm saying in short is I advise you to still go ahead and apply. It is still a possibility that we would compare you to other hubs that applied from your state, and you will stand a good chance, of having a better portfolio than theirs. So please do not be discouraged from applying. Go ahead and apply. I will not deny that there are some criteria that cannot be bent, like one of them being having a physical space. It is important that you have a physical space. There are some criteria. But regardless, I would still advise you to apply, especially if, for instance, you have plans, you are already in the process of securing your physical space or something, just go ahead and apply. I would not discourage anyone from applying. But um, of course, if you can prove to us that your track record is something we can rely on, if you can prove to us that you have the capacity to administer the quality of program we are looking at pushing forward, then you have a good chance of getting it. So to the next question, I hope we will be able to display it on the screen if possible. I'll be taking the next question from Daniel Onyekachi. His first question was, what is iHatch all about? And I think we've addressed that. So I'll move to his next question, which is, are there other programs like iHatch people can participate in? And then what should users expect from iHatch? So these questions are a bit related to some of the things we've been talking about. The national coordinator explained that ONDI push, several other programs that are out there. There are some programs in the pipeline. There are some programs that are already out there live. And if you follow us on our socials, you see other similar programs that we are pushing forward, that we are implementing as well. And of course, it's ONDI NITA is not the only government agency or entity that does such ecosystem enabling programs. So we advise you to be versatile online. Explore other opportunities. There are lots of them out there. So, on what users should expect from iHatch, I believe we have also addressed that question while we were, talking about iHatch, the benefits, some of the challenges we're solving, and all that. So, I'll go to the next question on this list, which is, okay, this question is from Wabut. Wabut Manchang. I can't pronounce the third name. Please forgive me. What does the iHatch impact in the development? Okay, what does the iHatch impact in the development of young people and mitigating unemployment among the youth? So the response to this question is inferred. One of the achievements we have been able to add to our portfolio from iHatch so far is being able to boast about a number of jobs that has been created through the startups that we have enabled. The figures were there earlier if you were paying attention in the slides. The program iHatch has supported, not just the participants that were in the cohort, but also the people around them, the individuals, the employees they support, their organization being able to reach out to people, you know, and a large chunk of that group are young people. So yes, it does have a very strong impact in um, bringing solutions to our unemployment situation in the country. So I will go to the next question. Okay, next question from Temitope Adeolu. What's iHatch about? Okay, I think we've answered that. And can a cyber law expert who is also certified in cybersecurity participate? Can a cyber law expert who is also um, certified in cybersecurity participate? This question is um,
So it's tricky, right? So the whole idea is to support hub managers who in turn support startups, right? So if you're a cyber law expert and you're building an innovative solution, what I will say is um, just be on the lookout for when the call for application for startups come through. If you have an idea to build an innovative solution, feel free to apply. So as I said earlier, just follow our social media channels, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on X or Insta, um, at Neta Nigeria, ONDI Nigeria. When we put out the call for application for startups and you're building this solution, please feel free to apply. But for the hub managers or entrepreneur support organizations or innovation support organizations, you have to be running an organization that is an innovation intermediary supporting the development of startups or different programs within your state. You have to have a physical space And so if you don't meet some of these criteria that Victor had mentioned earlier, it will be tough for you to compete if you do apply for the Hub Manager program. Victor?
Okay, thank you very much, NC, for rescuing me there. I think I should fall back more often. Okay, so the next question is coming from how could an NCE, I have to correct the grammar, how could an NCE graduate benefit from this program? And this question came from Abdullahi Sadu. And my short answer would be that the what we're putting out there, you can see that when we were talking about the requirements, eligibility, and all that, we did not mention any academic qualification requirements, degrees, or whatever here and there. But the main focus is on what you are developing, what your solution is bringing to the table, as a hub, as an innovation hub. What are you doing for startups? Anyway, that's for the hub upskilling program. We are not bringing up the issue of qualification in academics as a major determining factor. So if you do have a solution, if you are a hub manager or if you are a startup, you can apply for iHATCH program. But for this info session, we are focusing on hubs because the first stage of iHATCH Cohort 5 is the hub upskilling program, and this is the call we are making right now. If you are Abdullahi Sadu, if you have a startup, you can apply. If you have a hub, you can apply. Your qualification does not stop you from applying, please. So, to the next question from Gani Balogun Adeza. What sector of the economy does iHatch focus on, and how does it operate? I think during the presentation, NC mentioned, some of our priority sectors. It's not that we would not, consider your innovation if it's not within, maybe fintech, edutech, agri-tech. It's not limited. It's a sector agnostic program, but we understand that those major sectors are top drivers, to our economy. So we definitely give priority to those.
So yes, Victor, you're correct. It's sector agnostic. Feel free to apply if you have strong conviction about your solution. Those are just highlighted areas, and that's because historically from data we've seen a lot of startups applying from there. So feel free to apply for the program, regardless of the sector you're operating, as long as you know that the solution can impact our country and can impact the region or our continent at scale. So feel free to apply. Don't hold back.
All right. So that takes us to the next question from David Elibe. What does the ideal hub manager look like in ONDI's eyes? Capacity, track record, infrastructure, geographic reach. Um, and then what specific performance metric would be used to evaluate hub managers during cohort 5, and how will those metrics influence future partnership opportunities with ONDI? So I think it will be possible to answer, or it will be best to answer this question, listen out some of the criteria that we'll be using during the evaluation process. We have mentioned eligibility requirement, but for the benefit of those of you that are in this info session, you won't see this anywhere, just for you, exclusively for you. I can quickly go through some of the high level criteria that you'll be used to be scored. Your application will be scored using this set of criteria. So that will answer this question that was put forward by David. So first off, we'll be looking at your operational experience. This is will be expressed by the length of hub operations and the track record of managing successful programs and initiatives, the number and types of startups you have supported. You know, um, those are some of the metrics we'll be looking at. Another criteria will be the impact and ecosystem contribution. From your submissions, we'll check for evidence of contributions to regional and national innovation ecosystems, partnership established with stakeholders, whether government, investors, educational institutions. We're going to check all that. Impact metrics. Now, the actual numbers. I don't want to, specifically mention. I don't want to discourage anyone because some people do large numbers based on the advantage that comes with, their region. Some regions are more active, than others. So I wouldn't mention specific numbers, but it's best for you to at least have an idea that these are some of the metrics we'll be looking into. The third criteria will be infrastructure and capacity, which will be showed by the availability of resources such as co-working space, labs, and digital infrastructure. Would look at your ability to scale operations or serve a growing number of startups. So, what's the capacity of your hub? How much audience, how much participants can you take in a cohort or at a go? Then the
So,
next, okay, NC, you want to say
so
something?
apologies. Please finish.
Okay, okay. All right. So then the next would be vision and commitment. Yes, we know that there is what you have done today. There is what you have done in the past. There is what you're doing today. But we're also going to evaluate what your plans are, for the future. The clarity of your ambition and long-term goals for the hubs, alignment with program goals to foster inclusivity and ecosystem growth, your willingness to actively engage in programs and apply the acquired knowledge. So those will be looked into. And then finally, the fifth evaluation criteria would be training needs and program fit. So we are going to look at your application and see how much it is aligned to what this program requires. So this one is unique to iHatch. Other things might help you in some other programs, but for iHatch, there are specific program requirements, and we'll be looking into some of those. I have mentioned a lot of them, while talking about the um, eligibility criteria. Like for instance, when NC mentioned that we expect that you should have registered on the startup portal. That is probably not a requirement in some other programs out there, but it's a requirement in iHatch application, and you should have that in your belt in order to apply. So I think I've gone through all the evaluation criteria. NC, you wanted to add something? Please go ahead, ma'am.
Absolutely. So I think we want to encourage, as Victor had said earlier, all ecosystems are not built equally. And we do understand that because of this fact, certain areas will have more activities or more interventions or more engagement than the others. What I will say to you is, and that's why we have as part of the application what your vision for the future is. It helps us understand how you're thinking about your role within the innovation ecosystem and how we can support you to achieve it. So you don't need to feel like I don't have enough of what they're asking for, so I would not apply. Think about what you would hope for your region to be like, or your region, or even your state to look like in the next 5 years, and ask yourself today, what do I have, and how can being part of this program amplify my current position to play a significant role then. Physical infrastructure is important, but we're not asking you to have like the best of spaces. We do require that you have a space. We do require that the space is ambient enough for people to come in and engage so that you can provide support to startups. But that's why we are here. The goal is to see what you have, see what you are doing, and see how we can provide support. This particular cohort is so designed. So we have a tiered hub support framework for this cohort, because we do understand that not all states or regions are built equally, and so some might be ahead of others. And so please, by all means, don't restrict yourselves from applying. Put in a good application as honestly as you can, and we and the rest of the team that are supporting will take our time to go through it and engage as we should. Thank you. Victor?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, NC. So that takes us to the last question we'll be taking from the pre-submitted question or pre-event submitted questions. The question will be from Sefa Veronica. She asked, Is being a beneficiary once in a lifetime. Is being a beneficiary once in a lifetime. And I think I had mentioned this earlier when I was talking, and I said, so far so good. We are going to allow hubs who are fresh, who did not participate in cohort 4 to join us in cohort 5. So all our 37 hub managers from cohort 4, thank you so much. We appreciate you. We will continue working with you. But cohort 5 is for fresh hubs and fresh startups as well. Because there were startups, that started with us from cohort 1. Startups that enjoyed 1, 2, 3, and even from cohort 4. So I'm talking about hubs mostly because this info session is, tailored for hubs. So please, it's for now, it's once in a lifetime. Maybe sometime in the future, the program changes its model and we want to re-engage, some of our past cohorts. But for now, for cohort 5, please let it be fresh hands. If you're a hub and you're so passionate, you want to be participating in iHatch, then just keep in touch with us. There definitely would be other activities, even supporting the hub manager that emerges from your state would be something that would be helpful to us as well. So please stay in touch. Thank you so very much. So that okay, so you want
Victor, just to add to what you've said, we're building a strong community of iHatch alumni. So if you were in the previous cohort and you still like to continue to engage, still like to continue to support, because we have a lot of regional engagement, underground engagement that requires we come into either your state or a particular region to support either state activities or even to further advance initiatives that NIDA has within your state or region. So please join the iHatch alumni community. We're more than happy to continue to engage, to continue to support. And as he says, you also have the opportunity to support the incoming hub managers in this cohort and startups as well in the cohort. So if you are interested in continuing to support, you don't have to apply for cohort 5. Just join the iHatch alumni. We'll put information on our social media page about the iHatch alumni community so that you can join if you previously have gone through the program. Victor?
Okay, thank you very much, NC. Always happy to, learn more, hear more context from yourself. I'm sure the audience are, very appreciative of that support. So that brings us to the end of, the questions will be taken from our you know, submitted questions. We would now look at the chat box, look at the, questions that came in from YouTube and LinkedIn and just maybe take some of them very quickly. This question was submitted by 11:46 a.m. on YouTube. What are the requirements for verification of the hubs? Tunde. So this question is a bit vague. I don't know if you mean verification as per. I don't know what you mean. So maybe if you want to, type another statement, backing up this question so we can get you clearly, because we're not sure what you mean by verification. Okay, so I'll move to the next. Let's see. Okay. Okay, Abdul Salam Saad say, please help us with the link for startup registration. So I think we mentioned that while we were speaking. Call for applications of startups will come soon. Please stay following us on our socials, Instagram, X, and LinkedIn to be able to see when that call goes out. It will be coming up within the next. I don't want to be specific, but it's soon. Okay. So just be on the lookout for that. The same link where you see the call for application for hub managers is most likely going to be on the same link. So keep the link for hub manager application. By that time, you will see apply as a startup because hub application would have ended by then. So just stay in touch, please. Okay. Let me see. I'm seeing another question from Tunde. It's still on the verification, but it's not clear enough, so I will not dwell on that. All right. 11:47. Mohammed Yunusa, please. How many hub managers will be selected per state? So we mentioned this earlier. it's one hub manager per state, making 37 hub managers in total. So 36 states plus the FCT, making 37 hub managers. Thank you.
Victor, we're at time. It's supposed to be a 1 hour session, and we're mindful of everyone's time. So, what we'll do is we'll take a few questions
Okay.
and perhaps set up FAQs on our page or do some FAQs on our social media based on the questions here.
Okay.
So, we can just take like 2 or 3 additional questions and then we can bring the session to a close.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nancy. All right. So let's see how many other questions. Let's say two, perhaps. Okay. Okay. Yes. There's no name here. OF 933. 11:48 a.m. I completed my application, but I got a mail with the line, to ensure your application is properly received and evaluated, you will need to resubmit your application using the correct link below. Yes, so we noticed that a wrong link circulated online for the applications, an outdated link. So some of the applications that came in on that platform, they received emails that they should reapply. So please, we encourage you, please do reapply. I'm sure a proper link was, provided for you to do your application. So please reapply. It's not a problem at all. We already have your details, but it is important that you fill the correct form so that your application will be evaluated with, the others.
Fantastic. Can we take a final question from Ajuma?
Ajuma, let me see. Okay. Is it how many startups will be assigned or incubated per cohort? Okay. I see. Maybe you want to answer that.
Okay, so we'll have 5 startups per hub for this cohort. We had that previously. So 5 startups per hub for this cohort. But what we would say or encourage is a lot apply. If your solution is very compelling, you will get into the program. So it shouldn't be, oh, they just want 5 startups, I'm not sure I'll get in. I think you should put together, again, pay attention to when the call for applications for startups come through and then apply. We're more than happy to get startups. I think one of the questions we get is, oh, I'm a startup registered here, but I'm operational in another state. We haven't put any limits. When we get there, we'll talk about it in depth, but by all means apply. It's 5 startups per cohort, uh, per hub per state. I hope that answers the question. There's one persistent question. Will someone with a cybersecurity startup be able to apply? Yes, please. You can apply. Suleiman Musa Abdullahi, your question has been persistent. Thank you for your persistence. You should apply. It's not, you're not excluded from this. Even though it's not I think cybersecurity, we all know that cybersecurity is important, especially with the evolution of innovation and technology. So we encourage you to apply once the call for application for startups become available or is open. So that brings us to the, I think, end of the session. It's been an interesting 1 hour, just engaging. Thank you for taking your time and joining the live session with us, allowing us to share what the agency is doing and what ONDI is doing with respect to support. We're open to feedback, so please feel free to follow and provide feedback and your thoughts or whatever comments you have through our social media handles. We're really excited about Cohort 5, and we look forward to engaging hub managers who are just excited about developing our ecosystem in the next few weeks. Victor, do you have any closeout thoughts?
Thank you very much, NC. I think it has been a very productive session so far. The only crime we've committed is overshooting our time, and we're going to end such shortly. Thank you all so much for being tuned. Please, if you do know anyone else who you think would benefit from this info session, the sessions are recorded. You will find it later on LinkedIn or YouTube. Just come back to our YouTube channel or come back to our ONDI page and you see the session and you can replay it. You can share with your colleagues so they can benefit from all the questions that we've been able to answer, from the audience. Thank you so very much. Thank you once again.
Thank you,
I,
everyone.
yeah, thank you, NC. All right. So bye. See your applications. Bye.